The final warning. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The Galactic Armada stretched across the stars like a wall of metal and fire. Thousands of alien warships drifted in formation, their hulls glowing under the light of distant suns. Their commanders spoke in confident tones, certain that this small blue world called Earth would soon surrender. They had crushed hundreds of civilizations before, and humanity, they believed, would be no different. But on Earth, silence filled the command rooms. Every major city had gone dark. Satellites went into secure mode, and orbital stations stopped responding to civilian channels. In underground bunkers deep beneath the surface, humans watched the alien advance with calm precision. The countdown had begun not to flee but to respond. At exactly 2100 hours, a signal left Earth's orbit. It was not encrypted, not hidden. It was sent openly to every frequency the Armada could hear. A human voice spoke, steady and emotionless, echoing through the void. "This is Earth Command to the Galactic Armada," the voice said. "You are trespassing in Sol system territory. Turn back immediately. This is your final warning." For a few seconds, there was silence across the fleet, then laughter. Alien captains mocked the broadcast, calling it primitive, calling humans foolish for pretending to threaten them. One admiral, a scaled creature with eyes like molten silver, leaned back in his chair and smirked. "Final warning," he said to his crew. How quaint. The Armada's main ships continued their approach, engines roaring like thunder across the vacuum. Their scanners swept over Earth's moon, its orbit, its debris field, nothing significant. No major defenses, no powerful fleets, no advanced energy signatures. To them, Earth looked like a defenseless planet holding an empty threat. But far below the oceans, deep inside the crust of the planet, something old began to stir. Buried machines hummed for the first time in centuries. Massive bunkers opened silently beneath mountain ranges, releasing streams of blue light on the dark side of the moon. Long-forgotten installations powered up, their metal spires rising from the dust. Hidden human satellites reactivated, sending encrypted pulses between themselves like whispers in the dark. In orbit, the alien scouts began to notice strange readings. Their sensors showed reflections, as if invisible ships were moving just outside their range. When they tried to scan deeper, their systems froze for a moment. Then came a sudden burst of static, followed by a familiar voice, the same one from the warning. "This is not a bluff," the voice repeated. "You have one last chance to leave," the admiral of the Armada growled. His pride stung. He ordered all forward fleets to advance, to enter Earth's orbit, and to begin targeting major cities. The command ships moved closer, massive shadows blocking out starlight. They expected panic from the humans, perhaps surrender signals, perhaps desperate pleas for mercy, but they received only silence from orbit. They could see the glowing lines of Earth's cities, New York, Shanghai, Delhi, London, all still lit. It looked peaceful, unaware, fragile. Then, as their weapons locked onto targets, every city light went dark at once. The entire planet fell into shadow, as if the world itself had taken a breath. "Are they surrendering?" one alien officer asked. The admiral narrowed his eyes, uncertain before he could reply. Their ship's sensors flickered again. A new energy surge appeared. No, not from the planet's surface, but from the void behind them. The Armada's rear scanners turned to static. Ships in the far back line began reporting strange contacts, unknown vessels emerging from nothing. Then out of the darkness, something vast and cold came into view. A structure the size of a city, shaped like a spear of metal and light. Its hull bore markings no alien could read, human markings. Its engines were silent, yet its presence bent space around it like gravity itself. The Armada froze, every ship locking sensors on the mysterious object. The human voice returned once more, louder now, echoing through every ship's comms. "This is your final alert," it said. "Depart now." A few alien captains hesitated, fear crawling into their voices, but their admiral shouted over them, ordering the entire fleet to fire. Missiles, plasma bolts, and beams of pure energy lit up the darkness, striking the human structure from every direction. For a moment, it looked as if the human object had vanished in the light. Then the explosions faded and the alien fleet saw the truth. The human vessel stood untouched. Every shot that hit it had simply disappeared, absorbed by its hull. Slowly, its surface began to glow with blue lines forming across its structure. Then, with a low hum that shook the alien ships to their cores, it opened its main weapons bay. Every human commander on Earth stood silent, watching through encrypted feeds. A single word appeared on their tactical screens. Authorized. And the stars above Earth began to tremble. The first alien ship disappeared, torn apart by invisible force. Then another and another. The Armada's formation broke in chaos, their voices screaming through open comms. Unknown weapon, unknown trajectory, systems failing. The Admiral tried to retreat, but his own ship's controls were dead. Outside his window, a thin line of blue light crossed the sky, moving faster than sight, and as it reached his flagship, everything went white. In the distance, the human structure slowly dimmed, its lights fading until it looked like a silent ghost once again. The voice returned one last time. "Earth has spoken," it said softly. "Next time, there will be no warning." And across the stars, silence followed. Echoes before the storm. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The remains of the Galactic Armada floated in silence. Wreckage drifted between the stars like glittering dust, glowing faintly with radiation. Only a few hundred ships had survived the first human strike. The rest were gone, erased as if they had never existed. No one among the survivors spoke for a long time. Every communication channel was filled with static and faint whispers. Their systems still malfunctioned from the unknown energy that struck them. Engines refused to start, sensors refused to read, and even their AI systems went quiet. The Admiral's flagship, scorched and broken, hung near the orbit of Jupiter. Inside, the bridge was dark, emergency lights flickering weakly. The crew stared at their consoles in disbelief. The Admiral, once proud, now sat motionless, staring at the void outside. He could still hear the echo of the human voice repeating in his head. "Depart now." Some officers wanted to retreat. Others demanded revenge, but no one knew who they were fighting anymore. The humans had become something else, something beyond understanding. As the fleet tried to regroup, their long-range sensors suddenly came back online, and what they detected froze every soul aboard. Dozens of human ships were appearing near the asteroid belt, each one moving with impossible precision, forming patterns that no alien mind could predict. Their weapons remained offline, but the power signatures were enormous. It was as if humanity was showing them that the first strike had been a warning, not a victory. Meanwhile, deep beneath Earth's surface, command centers monitored the situation calmly. General Rebecca Stone stood before a giant holographic map, her eyes fixed on the retreating alien fleet. "Do not pursue," she ordered, her voice calm but cold. "Let them carry our message to the galaxy." Her second-in-command frowned. "But ma'am, they'll regroup." Stone nodded slowly. "That's exactly what I want them to do." Above Earth, a new signal pulsed through the void, coded, silent, invisible to most technology. It spread across the solar system, waking dormant satellites and ancient listening posts. The message was simple. Phase 2 initiated. Humanity had no intention of hiding anymore. They had shown their strength. Now they were preparing for what would come next, back in space. Alien distress signals spread across the galactic network. Empires listened in shock as reports poured in from the Sol system. Entire fleets destroyed, weapon systems useless, energy fields bypassed. The phrase human retaliation spread like wildfire across interstellar channels. Many refused to believe it. Some thought it was propaganda. But those who saw the footage knew the truth. Earth had become untouchable. On the alien capital world of Zareth Prime, the Galactic Council gathered in fear. Dozens of species, once arrogant and united, now argued in panic. "They used forbidden technology," shouted one. "They must be destroyed before they grow stronger," cried another. But the oldest among them, a creature whose skin shimmered like glass, spoke softly. "You don't understand," it said. "They didn't use forbidden technology, they became it." In the shadows of the chamber, a holographic projection showed the image of the human vessel, the massive spear-shaped structure that had annihilated the fleet. Even at low resolution, its presence sent chills through the council. One of them whispered, "If they can build that, what else have they built?" No one answered. Far from the political noise, the survivors of the Armada drifted near Saturn, their ship slowly recovering power. They were scared to send another attack. But pride kept them from retreating fully. The Admiral finally rose from his chair, his eyes filled with hate. "We will strike again," he said. "They caught us off guard once, but no species is invincible." He clenched his fists, ignoring the fear in his crew's eyes. "We will burn their planet. But as his words left his mouth, a soft sound filled the comms, static, followed by a faint whisper. At first it seemed like interference, then a clear voice came through, the same calm human tone. "Admiral Raxon," it said slowly. "You were told to leave." The bridge fell silent. No one had transmitted their location. No one had sent a signal. Yet the humans were speaking directly to them. Before the Admiral could respond, every display screen on the ship turned white. A message appeared, glowing in simple text. "Observation continues." And then it vanished. The Admiral stepped back, trembling slightly. What does that mean?" one of his officers asked. "It means," the Admiral whispered, "they're watching us." Back on Earth, General Stone watched as the alien fleet began its retreat. Her expression was unreadable. Beside her, an engineer looked at the data from the monitoring systems. "They've seen enough," he said. Stone nodded. "Good," she replied quietly. "Let the echoes spread." Across the stars, fear traveled faster than light. Every empire, every colony, every outpost heard of humanity's final warning and its aftermath. And for the first time in galactic history, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Awakening of Earth's Guardians. HFY Sci-Fi Story. In the cold silence of space, the last echoes of battle faded away. The wreckage of the Galactic Armada drifted between planets, silent reminders of arrogance. But on Earth, no one celebrated, no one cheered. Humanity knew the storm was not over. It had only just begun beneath the moon's shadow. Vast hangars hidden for centuries began to open. Massive doors slid apart, revealing black metal giants sleeping in darkness. Each one bore the insignia of old Earth nations, forgotten empires that once fought each other, now united under one banner, the Terran Defense Accord. Engines the size of buildings rumbled to life, shaking lunar dust into orbit. The fleets of Earth were awakening. In an underground control center beneath the Pacific, General Rebecca Stone stood in front of a glowing map of the solar system. Lines of red represented the alien fleet's scattered survivors. Blue marks, human assets, were beginning to form around Earth. "Mars and the Moon," her aide spoke softly. "Phase 2 activation complete." "Ma'am." Stone nodded, her voice calm but fierce. "Then begin fleet awakening far above." The first of the Vanguard-class dreadnoughts emerged from behind the moon. Its armor shimmered black, reflecting no light. A perfect ghost against the stars, crew members moved quickly through narrow corridors, their eyes filled with determination. For generations, their ancestors had lived underground, waiting for this moment, the rebirth of Earth's Guardians. Commander Elias Grant, captain of the dreadnought Helios, watched the Earth rise through the viewport. His jaw tightened as he remembered the ancient oath. The words passed down through hidden colonies. "When the sky burns and the stars turn against us, humanity will rise again." He whispered those words as the ship's main reactor reached full power. The hum of energy filled the bridge like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Back in orbit, smaller ships joined formation, frigates, destroyers, and stealth carriers, each one painted in black and gray, marked with the insignia of unity. Thousands of pilots connected through neural links, their thoughts synchronized with precision AI. The fleet moved as one being, every motion deliberate, silent, and terrifyingly efficient. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, alien analysts studied the recordings of the first battle. They slowed every frame, every transmission, searching for an explanation. One scientist whispered in disbelief, "Their weapons use no plasma, no antimatter. They use mass," another replied, "primitive kinetics." "But their impact ignored shields," the first said, trembling. The truth sank in. Humans had perfected weapons that broke the laws of known defense. At the same time, hidden stations near Neptune began transmitting coded messages into deep space. They were not human transmissions, not entirely. Old AI constructs, machines created long ago and abandoned, were now returning to service. Each one reawakening, linking together into a vast network called the Guardian Mesh. It was humanity's secret weapon. AI minds that had learned to dream, to anticipate, to protect. On Earth's surface, civilians remained unaware of the full scale of what was happening. They only saw strange lights in the night sky and felt distant tremors under their feet. In hidden universities and deep laboratories, scientists worked in silence. They knew what was coming, the retaliation of the Galactic Council, and they knew humanity would be ready this time in orbit. Commander Grant received a direct link from Earth Command. General Stone's face appeared on the main screen. "Commander," she said, her voice steady. "The aliens are reforming near Saturn." Grant nodded. "Then we meet them halfway." "Negative," Stone replied. "This time, we wait. They need to see what happens when they come to us." Grant frowned slightly but obeyed. He knew the general's strategy. Let fear do half the battle. On the alien side, Admiral Raxon had rebuilt what remained of his fleet. 50 ships battered but burning with anger. He stared at the holographic image of Earth, his pride refusing to die. "No more warnings," he growled. "We strike with everything we have left." His second officer hesitated. "Admiral, the humans. They see us even when we hide." Raxon slammed his clawed hand against the console. "Then let them watch as we end them." But even as he spoke, something moved in the void around his fleet. Invisible ripples spread like waves through dark water. A strange distortion passed between the alien ships, their sensors showing nothing but empty space. Then came a sound, soft, distant, but growing louder, a hum like a heartbeat in the stars. Every alien turned toward the source, and what they saw stole their breath. Dozens of human warships emerged silently from the void. No bright engines, no flashing lights, just black silhouettes gliding like ghosts. They surrounded the alien fleet in perfect symmetry. No weapons fired, no words were spoken, and yet, the message was clear. The Guardians of Earth had awakened back on Earth. General Stone whispered to her aide, "Begin transmission." A signal left the planet again. Calm and cold, carrying only 6 words. "You were warned," it said. "We are awake." Across the galaxy, that signal was intercepted by every empire, every species that had ever mocked humanity's name. And for the first time in recorded history, the stars themselves seemed to grow quiet. Because in the silence that followed, everyone understood. Humanity was no longer defending itself, it was preparing to lead. The Empire's pride crumbles. HFY Sci-Fi Story, the Galactic Council had never known fear for thousands of years. Their fleets ruled unchallenged, their empires unbroken. They conquered worlds, enslaved species, and erased entire civilizations without mercy. But now, for the first time, their arrogance began to tremble. Reports from the Sol system flooded every channel. Entire armadas lost, energy weapons useless, command ships gone without a trace. Every council hall was filled with arguments, denial, and disbelief. "They cannot be this powerful," shouted one senator. They were primitives, barely spacefaring a century ago. But the data could not lie. Recordings showed human ships moving like shadows, striking and vanishing. Each impact tore through shields as if they were air. The physics made no sense. The readings broke every rule they knew. One scientist whispered in horror, "They have rewritten war on Zareth Prime, the capital of the Galactic Empire." Emperor Kalor sat in silence. He watched the holographic feed of his proud armada reduced to dust. His advisors begged him to retaliate, to send the Imperial Core Fleet, the pride of the Empire. Kalor's eyes glowed faintly, filled with a cold fire. "Deploy them," he said, "and erase that planet from existence." The order spread across the stars. Thousands of ships prepared for warp. Entire worlds went silent as the Emperor's fleet moved. It was a force that could destroy systems, enough power to crush any resistance. But this time the enemy was not just another world. It was humanity, back on Earth. General Stone received the report of the incoming fleet. She stood still for a moment, her hands clasped behind her back. "Estimated arrival?" she asked. 72 hours, came the reply. Stone nodded slowly. "Then activate the Black Protocol." Every console in the command room went red. Operators worked in silence, entering codes older than the Federation itself. Deep under the Atlantic, in the abyss where no light touched, massive structures began to shift, ancient machines groaning awake. Each one bore the mark of a forgotten project, Project Black Dawn, the last line of defense built in secret by generations who feared this very day. Meanwhile, on the moon, the Vanguard fleet aligned into position. Commander Grant aboard the dreadnought Helios watched as thousands of ships formed a silent wall around Earth. They were outnumbered 10-1, but their resolve was absolute. He looked at the stars and whispered, "Let them come." Across space, the Imperial Core fleet arrived in blinding light. The shockwaves of their entry rippled through nearby moons. Hundreds of massive warships spread across the system, their weapons burning with energy. At the center, the Emperor's personal flagship, The sovereign of Zareth. Its engines glowed like miniature suns, its presence alone crushing lesser ships with radiation and gravity. The Emperor himself stood on the command bridge. He smiled cruelly. Let the humans see what true power is. With a gesture, the order was given, thousands of weapons locked on Earth, their targeting systems humming, and then fire. The sky above Earth lit up with fire brighter than daylight. Energy beams tore through space, meteors shattered, satellites burned, but not one beam reached the planet's surface. Every shot stopped mid-flight, frozen as if time itself refused to move. The Emperor frowned, confused. Why have they not hit? He demanded. Then he saw it. Between the planet and his fleet, invisible fields began to shimmer into view. Hexagonal light patterns spread like wings across the void. It was not a shield, it was something far older. Far stronger, the Guardian Mesh had activated. The combined will of human AI and machine had built a wall the galaxy had never seen. Back on the Helios, Commander Grant grinned slightly. Black Dawn active, the operator confirmed. From beneath Earth's oceans, enormous platforms rose through the waves, each one the size of a small city, armed with rail cannons that glowed blue. As they locked onto targets, the ocean boiled beneath them. And when they fired, the galaxy listened. Kinetic slugs tore through space faster than light could follow. They passed through shields, through armor, through entire battleships. One hit the Sovereign of Zareth and split it clean in half. The Emperor's eyes widened in disbelief as the light consumed him. One breath later, his ship was gone. The Imperial fleet broke apart in chaos, ships colliding, engines failing, captains screaming in panic. They tried to flee, but every exit vector was already blocked. Human ships appeared behind them, above them, around them. No light, no sound, only destruction. From Earth's command bunker, General Stone watched the readings calmly. Status? She asked. All enemy ships eliminated. Ma'am, replied her aide. Stone nodded. Then power down Black Dawn. The operators obeyed. Their hands trembling, the Earth returned to silence. Above the quiet planet, the human fleet held formation. The stars shimmered with wreckage, and for the first time in the galaxy's long history, the empire that ruled everything had fallen. In the ruins of the Emperor's palace on Zareth Prime, the remaining council members stared at the transmission of their destroyed fleet. None spoke, none moved. Their pride, their power, their certainty, it all crumbled to dust. And across the void, one message arrived. A single transmission from Earth Command, 4 words written in cold light. Humanity warned you once. The silent counterstrike, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The galaxy was trembling. News of the Empire's fall spread faster than light. Entire civilizations whispered in fear, unable to understand how a single planet had destroyed the most powerful fleet in existence. But humanity did not celebrate. They were not finished yet. In the deep shadows beyond Pluto, something stirred. Black ships drifted in the dark, silent and patient. They were not part of Earth's known fleet. They were older, hidden long before the world ever united. They carried no markings, no flags. Only one symbol burned faintly on their hulls. A single word: retribution. Commander Elias Grant stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Helios, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. Blue lights marked human systems. Red lights marked hostile zones. But there were new lights now, white signals appearing in random corners of the galaxy. He frowned. Unknown sources? His tactical officer nodded. Yes, sir. They're transmitting a human code, but one not in our records. Grant's pulse quickened. Activate the deep relay. Let's see what ghosts have come back. The signal connected, and a face appeared on the main screen. An old man with gray hair and piercing eyes. His uniform was not Terran, not current. It belonged to an era that should have been gone. This is Admiral Voss of the Black Fleet, the man said calmly. By command of Project Retribution, we are engaging counter-strike protocol. The channel went dead before anyone could respond. General Stone received the same message in her underground bunker. For the first time, she looked uneasy. Retribution wasn't supposed to exist anymore, she whispered. Her aide looked confused. What is it, ma'am? Stone's eyes darkened. It's not defense. It's vengeance across the galaxy. Human ships began appearing out of nowhere. They came through forgotten wormholes, through artificial rifts in space. Each arrival was silent, each strike devastating. Entire enemy outposts vanished in seconds, fleets erased without warning. No comms, no surrender, no explanation. Only one transmission followed every destroyed fleet. You were warned. On Zareth Prime. What remained of the Galactic Council watched in terror. Their defense grids shattered, their colonies burned. No one could locate the origin of the attacks. Humanity had turned invisible. Their ships no longer needed engines that glowed, or signals that could be tracked. They moved like shadows in the dark sea of space. In one of the destroyed sectors, an alien captain sent his final report. He spoke with trembling voice. "They don't chase us," he said. "They appear, strike once, and vanish." Before his signal could end, a flash of light consumed his ship, and then there was nothing. Meanwhile, in Earth's command center, General Stone stood before her advisors. "We didn't authorize these strikes," one officer said nervously. "They're targeting every empire that supported the invasion." Stone remained silent for a moment, then said, "Perhaps it's better that way." Her tone carried no pride, only the weight of inevitability above Jupiter. The Helios monitored incoming transmissions, one of the crew whispered. "Sir, we're receiving a signal from the Black Fleet again." Grant turned toward the display as Admiral Voss appeared once more. "This is humanity's reckoning," Voss said, his voice low but steady. "They came to us with arrogance, with weapons of domination. Now we will show them the cost of fear." Grant hesitated. "Admiral, this will make us no better than them." Voss smiled faintly. "Perhaps, but it will make sure no one ever tries again." The signal cut, and in the distance, several massive objects began to move. Dark spheres the size of moons, each one a weapon older than the last empire, each one capable of reshaping worlds. Back in the council chambers, alarms blared. "Something is entering the system," shouted an aide. The counselors turned their gaze toward the sky as 3 dark orbs appeared above their homeworld. No communication, no demand. The orb simply opened, releasing a wave of light across the atmosphere. It was not fire, it was silence. Every weapon, every ship, every satellite shut down instantly. The planet fell still, powerless, silent as stone in orbit. Human ships appeared, hundreds of them, motionless, watching. Then as quickly as they came, they vanished, leaving only a single beacon floating in the void. Its message was simple, glowing in every known language. "Let this silence remind you. Humanity warned you once across the galaxy. Worlds went quiet, no one dared to speak against Earth again. Even the most powerful warlords and empires began dismantling their fleets. Fear of humanity had become law." General Stone stood by the window of the Earth Command Tower. The stars twinkled peacefully. Her aide asked softly, "Is it over?" She watched the dark horizon and replied, "No," she whispered. "It's only the beginning of silence." The message across the stars. HFY Sci-Fi Story, across the galaxy. Silence had become a living thing. Where once there was chatter, now there was fear. The stars themselves seemed to dim as news of humanity's counterstrike spread from world to world. No one spoke the word Earth without trembling, and no one dared to send a fleet toward the Sol system again. In the great cities of alien empires, holographic billboards once used for propaganda now showed static. Old war songs were replaced by memorial hymns for lost soldiers who never returned. Every empire tried to erase their defeat, but the images kept leaking. Footage of black human warships appearing from nothing, of energy beams freezing mid-space, of entire fleets collapsing into silence. These recordings were banned. Yet they spread faster than light, on distant colonies. Children whispered stories before sleep. They spoke of the humans who lived on the blue world, of the voice that warned the stars, of the ships that moved without sound. Parents told them it was only legend, but the adults whispered it too, because everyone had seen the proof. Everyone had heard the final message that echoed across the void. It began as a soft signal, undetectable to most scanners, then slowly, it appeared in every frequency known, a calm voice speaking in every language. "This is Earth Command," it said. "Let the stars remember. We warned you once." The voice carried no hatred, no anger, only calm certainty. It was not a threat. It was a statement of balance. Some said it was a warning. Others called it mercy. But all who heard it understood one truth. The age of the arrogant was over in a remote sector. An old alien scientist named Dr. Kuril replayed the transmission again and again. He sat in his dark laboratory surrounded by shattered screens and broken data cores. His people had been allies of the Empire, now reduced to dust, he muttered softly. "They told us not to come. On his desk lay a small artifact, a fragment of a human probe recovered years ago. It bore an engraving. Barely visible, it read, "We came in peace, until peace was denied." The old scientist lowered his head. "We should have listened," he whispered. Meanwhile, in the Galactic archives, a historian recorded a new entry. It was marked Cycle 0, the human era. He spoke carefully into the recorder. "After the reckoning, all major fleets have disbanded. No world dares to raise weapons against Sol. Trade routes now avoid the system entirely. Yet human ships appear everywhere, unseen, unheard, watching." He paused, glancing nervously at the ceiling. "And every empire now teaches its children the same phrase: respect the humans or disappear." Back on Earth, peace returned quietly. Cities glowed again, oceans calmed, the sky cleared. But beneath that peace, power slept. The fleets had not disbanded, they simply waited. The Guardian mesh remained online, watching the stars for the first sign of another threat. General Rebecca Stone stood on the observation deck of the orbital citadel Aegis 1. The planet spun below her like a marble wrapped in clouds. Her aide approached. "Ma'am, the message has reached the galactic core." Stone nodded. "Good," she said softly. "Let it travel further. Let the stars remember the price of ignorance." Far beyond the Milky Way, in the dark gap between galaxies, strange signals began to awaken. Ancient machines that once watched silently now turned their sensors toward Earth. They had remained hidden for millions of years, remnants of civilizations that vanished before the dawn of humankind. Now they listened, processing the human message. One of them transmitted a single response back toward the Milky Way, a pulse of light carrying 3 words: "We are listening." On Earth, deep within the AI network of the Guardian mesh, the system registered the response. Lines of code flickered across the screens. The AI processed the new data, and one unit whispered to another. "They heard us." General Stone stared at the feed and exhaled slowly. "Then history begins again," she said quietly, and in the silence of space, humanity's message continued to echo. Unstoppable, eternal, a whisper across galaxies that said, "Do not come for Earth." When the stars fell silent, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The galaxy never sounded the same again. Where once there were endless transmissions, trading routes and political speeches, now there was quiet. The void between stars carried no music of war, no arrogant laughter of empires, only silence deep and heavy. The silence born from fear of Earth. In the centuries that followed, the date of humanity's warning became the new 0 mark of time. Historians rewrote calendars calling it the Great Stillness. Worlds that once ruled 10,000 systems now closed their borders. Armies became memories, their fleets left to rust in forgotten orbits. And across every academy, every shrine, every temple, one lesson was carved in stone: do not awaken the humans. Yet humanity did not vanish into arrogance. They watched, they learned, they built. Earth's cities rose higher than clouds, and the oceans glowed with quiet industry. Space elevators climbed like threads of silver, connecting Earth to its moon and beyond. Children grew up hearing stories not of victory, but of caution, they were told. We did not conquer the stars. We reminded them to listen. Deep beneath the planet's surface, in the vaults of the Guardian mesh, the AIs never slept. They monitored the quiet void, the faint flickers of alien distress calls, the whispers of unknown signals. One AI, designated Orion 7, began recording patterns of movement far beyond the known galactic rim. It detected something strange, a pulse not of fear, but of curiosity. It sent a report to General Stone. Though by then she was old, her hair silver, her voice softer. She read the message and smiled faintly. "So the stars are learning to whisper again," she said. "Good, let them." Up above, the Helios still patrolled the edge of Sol. Commander Grant, now gray and weary, stood where his father once did, watching the horizon of black space. He knew peace never lasted forever. Humanity's silence was not weakness. It was the sharp breath before thunder. He looked at the stars and murmured, "When they come again, we'll remind them who we are." In the farthest quadrant of the galaxy, an alien explorer ship approached a lifeless world. On its surface stood a monolith of black metal. Smooth and featureless, its sensors failed to read any data, but its presence emitted a faint hum. When the captain touched the surface, a voice spoke inside his mind, calm and ancient. "Remember the silence," it said. The captain collapsed to his knees. Overwhelmed by images of burning fleets and a blue planet shining through fire, he left the world without another word. The coordinates of that planet were erased from every archive within a week. Back on Earth, new generations grew under peaceful skies. They studied the stars not for conquest but for understanding. Yet deep down every human carried the same quiet pride. A pride older than their cities, stronger than their machines. They knew what their ancestors had done. They knew what their species was capable of when pushed. At night, the sky over Earth shimmered with orbital stations, satellites and silent watchtowers, each one part of the vast defense network that circled the planet like a crown. But none of them fired. None of them needed to. Their existence alone was enough to keep the galaxy calm. Then, one night, a strange light appeared in the sky, brighter than any star. It was not hostile, not threatening. Just a single probe entering Sol's boundary, drifting slowly toward Earth. The AI network scanned it instantly, analyzing its patterns. Its message, it carried no weapons, no viruses, no danger. Only a transmission, a simple phrase repeated in 1,000 alien tongues. We remember. In Earth Command, the message played before General Stone's successor. He listened quietly, then looked toward the holographic image of the stars. They remember, he said softly. Then perhaps the silence worked. He turned to the operators. Record our answer. A signal left Earth. Soft and calm. We remember too, it said. And we are watching. The message spread through the void like a heartbeat. Slow, steady, unending, and across every world, every race, every forgotten outpost, the stars seemed to flicker, not in fear this time, but in respect. Because even after centuries, the name humanity still carried the weight of legends. The weight of the warning that silenced empires and reshaped destiny. And so when the stars fell silent, they were not empty. They were listening to the one species that had taught them the meaning of power, mercy and memory, listening to the world that had once whispered into the darkness. You were warned, and still watches quietly. Among the endless stars, for Earth remembers.